So, welcome everybody to today's episode of It's Always Now. I am honored to be joined by our guest, Dr. Alan Schiffman. This is, I believe, your third time being on the show.
This is my fifth.
Fifth, is it really?
Yeah, it's
oh my God.
5.
Jeez. Again, thank you for joining me.
My pleasure. It's always an honor.
It's always
actually
an honor to have
absolute
you.
honor that some people actually want to hear what I have to say. I mean, I can't
don't
believe
even
that. It's
say-
amazing.
Don't even act like that. I am blessed to get you on a weekly basis and get the dose of balance that you like to throw at me, and I'd like to extend that to my listeners.
You know what? Thinking about coming on your show, I was thinking about, the theme is It's Always Now. And I think it would be good just to talk about the past, the present, and the future. What people think about on a daily basis, okay? Most people carry their past with them, it seems, because as we all know, not many of us are in the now most of the day.
No.
Most of the time, we're actually thinking about what happened yesterday, what are we going to do tomorrow, and all of a sudden, it's like, what are we doing right now? Unfortunately, we live in a society of regrets. Like most of the people carry guilt, regrets around, resentment, They're not the people that they really want to be when they wake up in the morning. They're not real happy with themselves, within their own skin most of the time. So they're always looking for something else and someone else or something else to make them happier or happy in their life, but never coming from within, And when they address that, okay, yesterday doesn't want to go away, okay? Doesn't want to go away. So I find that sometimes you have to actually sit down with the past in order to walk away from the past, And to be able to not carry the type of past that is a negative feeling in their bodies, in their minds, okay? One should actually inject some positive energy during the day in their present, and they will find that that part of the past will disappear.
And, with you saying, sitting down and confronting the past, at that point, you gain closure. And with closure, then when you're moving forward, you have that part of your past.
If they can get closure from that, they can get closure from that, it may take a few sit downs or maybe many sit downs. Okay, of confronting it and understanding what is it that they're stuck with. Okay, what is it that's really tearing them apart or whatever? Could be something 20 years before,
or like you said, 20 years from now. People carry the future on them heavily too, because they're I know that's one of my big issues is that I'm always worried about if this step's the right step and if I'm making the step correctly in order for my goals to
well, you just said
be
it.
Achieved.
You just said it. You're worried, you see? And that's fear. Worry, doubt is all a cousin of fear. And most people are afraid of things that they can't see, that they know nothing about, That hasn't happened yet, okay? That's all that fear is. Fear is actually some negative type of energy that exists for no reason at all, other than what's going on in your head.
It's just an anxiety of the future, basically, of something that could
Right. It's a very insecure type of, anxious type of feeling that, unfortunately, most people feel in this society, okay, which leads to obsessive-compulsive behavior disorders, dysfunctions, and things like that, It's unfortunate. It is a contagious infection, I think, throughout society, But
Apologies for my distraction, my little monster of a cat. This is one thing we don't have to deal with in the other
the
studio.
cat wants in. The cat wants in, and we welcome.
These are not for you. These are not for you, and I know you want to play and you are emotions, but these are not for you. If you can be calm, you can be a part of the show.
Last episode, we adjusted. We saw an adjustment of a cat.
We did. I do remember pulling that up.
Okay. So if it acts up, we can do it live.
Is that what your problem is? Do you want to be adjusted? Be a good girl.
So back to the past. Okay, it holds up what's happening in the present. Okay, so how do we really release that? By injecting something positive during our day, and we will find that the past actually dissipates and disappears. So this is something to think about, okay? Does that actually work? It does.
I agree. And now, from my perspective of what you're saying, by injecting something positive into your day, that doesn't just mean, reading a post or sharing and if that does help, please do that. But I feel like from my perspective, I get that from when I do something. I actually have to do something. Oh my God, you little monster. I'm going to put her in the other room 2 seconds. You're getting put in the bedroom. I'm so sorry.
It's kind of weird to look at yourself on the screen, and talk and stuff like that.
She's sometimes a rascal, not usually this rascal.
No,
that was the most rascally she's ever been.
But you guys know,
Yeah. Jeez. So, but back to what I was saying, I've learned, to actually do something positive is what gives me the positive,
Yes.
Just do the dishes, you know what I'm saying? Vacuum, just something that you feel you've wanted to do, you should do.
Something to focus on instead of dwelling on what happened yesterday.
And I fear my family falls into that a lot, and they sit there and they just dwell on what's gone wrong instead of just figuring out how to fix it.
Well, how many people do you meet that are completely attentive to you? Without them thinking of some other movie going on in their head while they're looking at you, right? Like a deer with headlights.
People identify with their pain too. It gives them.
Well, it's too much because that's all they see. When they do that, that's all they see. So that's not a true identification.
No.
Okay, that's a false identification of
is.
the self. You see. So if all you see is your pain, you can't see up, you can't see down, you can't see any place else. Okay, and they won't see you. They won't see you. You see, one of the common phrases that the Native Americans make when they meet you, and you have a conversation and they feel that connection, they will say, "I see you," and they made that intimately, which I find very interesting.
That's funny because that term has also been like reused in just like modern, just street talk. Like, I see you.
Yeah. That kind of thing,
But I wonder if that's where it stems from.
Well, it's the same thing as saying that I love you. Most people just use the word.
I think I'm a big fan of I appreciate you. I'm very appreciative. But the I see you is a good one because I think people I think that's like saying I understand your perspective, basically.
Yes.
Like I see what you see.
But you can say that if you actually make that connection to someone else's energy, Whereas, like, if you can actually feel your feet in their shoes at that particular time, then you can truly understand what they're going through. How often do you think that can happen?
I think
you have to have incredible
rare.
perceptiveness at that particular moment, Okay?
And I think even at that point, it's only an imagine. Like, I can only imagine what it's like to be in somebody else's shoes. I can never fully feel, and I like to believe my imagination is vivid enough to where I am I'm just using myself as an example. But I know a lot of people don't have that ability to, like...
Not most people.
Actually realize, like, ooh, this is...
Yeah, but some people do.
Yeah.
See, some people can gain insight on that, okay? Some people can, I can actually vouch for that, okay? You can do it because once you are engaged in the practices of your own human potential, that you develop a transformational experience through yoga practices, meditation, martial arts, these are all human development, okay, practices, okay? One that is engaged in that discipline for so many years will gain a heightened sense of awareness about themselves, which gives them an insight, that special sensitivity to someone else.
That's why I'm such honored we're friends.
I know.
That
and the door swings both ways. Okay, for sure. So once that happens, it just be part of your being, just part of your being, that kind of thing, you can feel things that most people don't feel, So on one end, it helps you to relate to someone else's because you can understand their way of being. But on the other end, it makes it more difficult to actually relate to you, but they won't know that. You see what I mean? Because you're not going to let them know.
Oh, wow. Because while being able to relate to others makes you a little unrelatable, because most people can only grasp their inner.
Exactly. There you go. As far as for you to have that, okay, you know what I mean? Someone else would have to be on that intimate, I want to say level. I don't know if that's 100% appropriate, okay? But to have that state of evolvement, okay, might be closer to the point, okay, to where, it's kind of like a master can relate to another master, and they can both sit down and have tea, and they can really understand where, because they can understand each other and being each other. But a master and a disciple is on a different type of a intimate level. You see?
100%.
The master can completely understand the disciple, but the disciple can't understand the master. You see, that's the thing about that, And I only use that master-disciple relationship because of the particular arts that are involved that provide that study of transformational experience, and development, You can only learn from someone who has actually done that and can bring you along and guide you for that person that has actually done that and been there and knows how to do that. If you understand a little bit what I'm saying.
Oh, 100%.
100%.
I mean, I don't want to say 100%, but I get the gist. I mean, I would never.
99 is good.
I don't take advice from people less successful than me. I'm not gonna go and try to find.
Right. It's kind of like, okay, if you did the walk, then you can do the talk. And we can respect that, and then I can understand that you're giving me the benefit of your experience, how it looks to you, and if it looks to me the way it looks to you, then that's very nice.
Always dropping gems on us, Dr. Allen.
It kind of works out pretty good, So, I love how you got this place.
Thank you.
It's amazing. It really is.
I work hard to keep it.
For the viewers, I have to say that this is a very comfortable, engaging atmosphere.
I try hard, and I hate to just jump into things. I know, like everybody here is on a time schedule, so I wanted to just get things rolling. I like to have us here for a little bit and just have us talking in front of the microphones. But you've been on the show before, and I see you more than I see most people on a weekly basis.
Right. And it's all about the continuing conversation.
It is, and we're continuing it again, and it's
it's been going on for years.
It has, and
we started this a couple of years ago.
Obviously, you bring me immense physical care, and that's why I'm still a loyal customer. And
we thank you very much for that, the kind words.
But you also, our conversations bring me just as much as our treatment does.
Well, I appreciate the acknowledgement.
It means the world to me. I walk out of that office brighter for a lot of reasons, and I hope even to capture an inch of that, which I feel like we have.
Well,
we've grabbed a few good ones, and what I love is that
yes.
You haven't heard the audio upgrade since this is going to be the first episode with you with the upgraded audio.
Okay.
And I'm just honored to capture the light that is Dr. Allen.
Oh, nice, very nice. Thank you
on this quality of audio.
Thank you. Well, I'm up there. That's all I can say.
So how are you feeling today?
I feel great. I just feel phenomenal.
I love to hear that.
I feel phenomenal, and each day is a gift and completely unique. Someone told me the other day I was having conversation with a young lady overseas, and she was telling me how much she likes to travel, and that's her favorite thing to do, because she gets all these new experiences and everything like that, adventures. I said, yeah, I love to travel. It's great, But I told her, I said, I also find that each day is a complete unique experience for me, I don't know how it is for anybody else, But for me, it's completely amazing, I wake up, it's never the same type of consciousness, I get a very nice, fulfilled, joyous feeling, if I can put it into that kind of perspective, on each and every day, And it wasn't always like that. So my experience feels fresh, and I have no desire to be anywhere else. Whether I'm in my living room or whether I'm walking down the street or whatever it is, I find that there really isn't. That's not easy to relate to or maybe not understand, but there really are no ordinary moments. And I don't have to go 3,000 miles to find one, if that's what I want to find.
An unordinary moment?
Right. If I love to travel because I love to live, So anything, okay, if we're always immersed and swimming in that love, it's not greater love in one place or another.
Not at all. The grass is always greener where you water it.
Right, exactly. Love is love.
Love is love.
Love is love. We come from it, and we go to it, Nature is going to actually reclaim our bodies at some particular point.
No matter what.
No matter what. But our spirit and soul will live on, And this is what I feel that society should identify more with. It's interesting because this society itself is so hung up on age. It's really a remarkable thing. And I spoke about it before. You have two ages. You have a chronological age and you have a biological age. Those are two ages. The chronological age is a number, okay, which most people are attached to. This is what most people talk about all the time, okay? Yeah. It's in the newspaper. This person was 40, this person was 37, this person died at 21, and this kind of thing, and it just fills the air with the wrong type of identification. Instead of the biological age is how you feel, how you look, how you talk, right? How you behave, kind of energy you bring to the table each and every day when you wake up in the morning, That is where our focus needs to be, okay? That is where you're going to find health, okay? Not in the chronological age, thinking that when you're 70 years old, I only got maybe 10 years left, and then you bring that's a heavy, heavy energy that you wake up with all the time. Who needs that? Who wants that?
There's a saying we like, you don't get old, you don't stop skateboarding because you get old because you stop skateboarding.
That's it. That's it. That's another part of it. So you cannot be in the now if you're consumed with fear and that kind of thinking. Now, once someone, we all have to, as people.
It's funny, the thought that it gave me, though, is, thinking about how we need to grasp on the more, spiritual existence. And I know this wasn't what you led into, the finish of your thought, but like, even me, I grasp on the now too much instead of it's such a 50-50 because if I worry too much about just like the grand principle of like existence, it's almost easy to just do nothing. Because realistically, and I don't know if this is like if I'm using this word correct, like a nihilist perspective to where it's like nothing really matters, because theoretically nothing really does matter. But that's also the beauty in the picture. I've learned to find a nice balance between the two, I think.
Well, you have, I think the number is 8-point-something billion people on the planet right now, okay, that live in this world, okay? So in essence, you have 8 point something billion worlds in one world.
I love that. Yeah.
See? Because everybody's in their own world. Okay. Which is so much truth there.
So much truth.
Because your own experience and your perspective on the world depends upon your own experience.
Oh yeah.
You see, 1,000% on that. Okay. So if you want to open yourself up. Once you start releasing that internal tension, that internal fear, that's burying the love that you bring to the table, really. Okay, because everyone has a certain capacity to give, to take, to love, to participate, to experience. That certain amount of capacity depends upon whatever energy is bounded up in your system, okay? And that's your mind and your body and your soul, okay? So if you're binding up your free expression with all that chatter and that ridiculous innuendo of fear, worry, doubt, anxiety, jealousy, greed, selfishness, ego, all that stuff is going to prevent you from free expression of who you really are. So no one is going to get a sense of you, of James, right? If you're going to be having that, we all have a different level of that prevents us from what? From actually connecting to one another.
Oh, believe me, right now I'm kind of struggling listening fully because I'm thinking about the next question and all that. And
Right. But you know what? You see, because of this kind of stuff, okay, you're aware of that. You're aware of that. Most people aren't even aware of that. You know what I mean? They just drift. They're drifting. Okay? Well, come back.
That book, The Power of Now, has helped a lot. A lot of it, I feel like I practice its message. I mean, when somebody got me that book, I have a company called It's Always Now. I think I grasp it, and it's funny. Every time I'm reading it, I find myself a few pages in, and I'm like, oh, I got to just put this book down and go actually do the things I want to do, because I know my goal career isn't at the end of that book. My goal career is at the end of these microphones and working these cameras and all that.
Well, I mean...
Sorry the room's so slanted, too. It's sliding you left and right. I see it happening.
To have that transformational experience in your energy, that's what we're actually talking about, okay? You have to let go of the intellectual part of your brain, and get rid of the justifications and the reasons and well, if I do this, I can do this, and when I do this, and all of a sudden you for 5 hours, you're thinking about how you're going to behave and how you're going to act, Instead of just doing it, just do it. Get the experience. Learn from there. Fall on your face. No worries, okay? Just keep getting up, And then little by little, you will start to, get rid of...
There's no taking the right steps, like I said earlier. There's just taking the steps, realizing you took the wrong steps, step backwards, take these steps, take another step, fall over, jump a few more steps, realize you got to go back, redo a step.
Right.
And that's the dance. That's
it is the dance. It is the dance to the point where you are always taking the right steps without even thinking about it, because you're like, you see, the universe is a magnet of love, if you want to look at it like that, okay? And each of us as souls is like the needle, okay, which gets attracted to the magnet, and it just draws us towards it all the time. So no matter what experience we have, our experiences are here for us to work it out on this planet so we can evolve and become more spiritually evolved, okay? So we can make that connection to that love more, to that universe more.
I know I say this
It's like there's a great saint, his name was Paramahansa Yogananda, and he used to talk about the waves of the ocean, how the ocean, okay, is made up of individual waves. Each wave has its own personality and is part of the ocean, but each wave is not the ocean, okay? And at some point, everything merges into the ocean.
That's a good one.
At some point, you see? Don't all the rivers in the world merge into the ocean.
I mean, essentially.
Right? Right? Isn't each drop of water individual?
There's a joke that another podcaster I saw says that he's like, there's only one ocean. He's like, I'll admit there's different bodies of water we call different things, but there's only one ocean.
Exactly.
It's all.
Well, I feel that way.
Yeah.
I certainly believe that according to my experience on Earth.
Yeah. I mean, it's all, we can call the different bodies different things, but I mean, as soon as you go from Atlantic to whichever one meets at that imaginary line we've created.
Right. There's only one God. See?
Yeah.
And, but there are many souls.
There. It's funny, I joke with the one God thing is, you know how like pronouns are a big issue nowadays?
I heard something about that, very silly.
I don't know if that hits your realm of existence, but yeah, pronouns are a big deal nowadays. The he, her, him, she, they, this, that. I think about it with God. Like I think of how there's all the millions of different religions and all the great followings and practices that all of them have. And I'm like, do you think God really cares what pronoun?
Yeah, James,
go by?
All that innuendo is a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
Okay? That's basically what it boils down to, You have all these people, okay, for whatever reason, they want to feel like they're important in this world, okay? And they want to wear that badge.
Oh, yeah, yeah. The people who are complaining about that, yes. But no, my more point is on like the spiritual level is like, everybody prays to this God, prays to this God, prays to that God. My whole perspective on it is I all believe they're just praying to the...
They are.
Yeah.
They are. It's, all those other deities are aspects of the Lord, okay? So if you want to, it's like, okay, the Catholics, right? The Catholic Church, okay? You have saints, Yeah. And someone loses their wallet or something like that, all of a sudden they start praying to St. Anthony.
Yeah.
Because he's the saint of finding things,
I've seen funny bits on the different saints that you have to pray to.
Yeah, and it gives them more of a bridge, basically, because they can touch that. God seems like way too far away, but in essence, they're praying to God.
Yeah,
they're just a different aspect of God that they're praying.
It's his manager. You got to reach out to his tour manager, and then you got to get his booking agent, and then you got to get God.
Well, these are specific prayers, right? Or hooked up to specific saints.
Yeah,
okay?
that's what I'm saying. You don't reach out to their touring agent to book them. You reach out to their tour agent when they're late for a show.
Right.
You reach out to their booking agent to book them. St. Anthony's the touring agent. He's trying to find the artist. Yeah. There's a comedian has a joke about St. Anthony, and he's like, imagine doing nothing wrong your entire life, and then you get to heaven, and God's got a job for you, and your job's just to help people find their shit.
That's good. That's good.
I mean, yeah, I look at it's a funny bit, but I look at it like, all right, dude, that's what I'm here for, dude. I'd honestly love that because I get really bad anxiety when I can't find stuff.
Okay.
Bad. That's one of the reasons I try to stay so neat.
Okay.
So I know where things are.
Yeah. So all of a sudden you tense up and stuff like that. Okay. So this is
sweat.
This is something, and you sweat. Okay, because your body, okay, is actually going through that experience of tension. From the mind.
It's crazy that
it's a crazy thing.
I literally it happened to me once this morning already, setting up, and I'm like, dude, you have enough time. You can do this in the allotted time. If you start sweating and worrying, you're gonna make mistakes. Things are gonna go wrong. You've done this a million times.
Well, this is why, because you wear your heart on your sleeve. Okay, that's part of that whole dynamic as well. Okay, because that just ties into everything else you do as well. Okay, it's not just that particular thing. That told you a little bit about yourself, okay? It doesn't come to the surface as much, but internally you're feeling it. You see what I mean? No matter what we do, we're giving our body that experience of the mind, whereas okay, you know what? We're still a slave to our thoughts at that particular point. So that's good if we can acknowledge that, because that's what we want to work on.
Oh, 100%.
To be detached to a certain degree where we are totally engaged at the same time. It's not an easy thing, right?
It's almost...
To be in the world, but not of the world, okay? This is a yogic philosophy and approach to life, okay? To be to live life with a detached attachment. Think about it that way.
It's such a, paradox in itself almost to think about it. I know it's.
Can you see something completely clear for what it actually is if you're so attached to it? No.
No.
You can't. Because you're consumed by it then, right? Mm-hmm. Right? So you want to have one foot out the door and one foot in the door. How do you do that? That also ties into being even keel. Not too high, not too low, right? But it doesn't, you don't be that way and think about it.
No.
You're that way because you're that way.
Yeah, you just got to be it. You can't sit there and fucking be like, am I doing this? Am I doing this? No, you're not. Right. You're thinking about doing it.
Right.
And you can't think about doing stuff. My inner monologue doesn't exist while I'm acting. While I'm in the motion of doing things, right. I'm not ever like, am I doing this? Yeah, you are.
Right. You know what? It's actually a transformation of your whole energy.
How does Dr. Allen balance himself? How do you when you catch yourself in the moment but not in the moment?
So I don't know. This goes on. This process probably go on for the next 100 lifetimes with me. Easily. Okay.
Easily. I respect you getting the next 100. I think I might have 1,000 in me. Sorry.
At least, for me, and it's like, if I find out my practices, my yogic practices, allow me to have been able to transform, to identify with myself more internally than externally, okay? So I'm more identified, actually my life is more identified with my spiritual nature than my physical, materialistic nature.
I sense that about you.
You see? And, that's my whole process. That's my whole process, okay? When usually as the day goes, I'm not attached to money, material things, as much, okay, to the point where I got to have this or I got to have that or it's going to make my life better or any of that stuff, That doesn't happen, That doesn't happen.
I wish I could say I'm there, man. I'm still incredibly validated by materials.
Well, this is a process, okay? Happiness is completely from your spiritual nature, from inside, which is why no one can make each other happy. It's impossible, actually, to do that, see? Okay? And, unless you are this great master guru, okay, and you can go like, okay, you're completely transformed just by my thought, okay?
Yeah.
Obviously, that doesn't happen,
yeah,
right? So it's an internal thing, okay? The more you, let's put it this way, the more you practice internal activities than external activities, well, you turn into identifying more with internalness in your lifestyle, you see? And that is where you get joy from. You get true joy, okay? To become truly happy in the moment. And you feel it through your whole body. It's such a hard thing to explain and express. That type of feeling in your energy. You know what I mean? It is so uplifting. It's like you walk with a smile from head to toe. You will have this big smile on you, okay? And you're just walking around. And it's like not many things can bother you in that moment, okay? People can spit on you. People can say bad things about you and all this kind of stuff. You're not going to feel it.
It's rare, but
much.
I do believe I can say I've been in that state before. Where
the longer you stay in that state is the longer that you actually become part of that particular energy, and that is you. That is you now. See? It's kind of like, okay, if you have, it's like how many wealthy people that people spend their whole life on materialistic living and, collecting, and buying houses and becoming, have $50 million in the bank and everything like that, that you can say are truly happy with themselves. I don't know. I don't know who these people are. Maybe they are, okay? But
it's funny.
From my perspective, okay, to watch the the way they operate in their lives and behave in their lives, okay, they're not really coming from a point of love. They're coming from a point of position and power, and status.
100%.
And that you cannot take with you. You see? If you can't take it with you, then why do you want to be so permanently attached to it on the planet? It almost seems like an insane way to live, doesn't it?
100%.
You know, how much you think, I got to have that house because I want to own something. Really want to own it.
I struggle with it with renting this home. Like it's not good enough that I have it, that I don't own it. Like it's the status. It's funny.
You're going to use and have wisdom in finances, okay, it makes sense to buy something and use it as a bank or whatever, okay, and that's yours to the point where, okay, if you want a jacuzzi, if you want this or that, and you're not disturbing anybody else around, depending upon your lifestyle, that makes sense to buy something, okay? But again, we're talking about attachment. You see? The Bible clearly states, money is not the root of all evil. It's the love of money that is the root of all evil. But they don't mean loving in the sense of love. They mean love in the sense of attachment. Okay. If money is your God, then obviously you're going to fall into a lot of other traps that are very dark. Right?
100%.
Because you never have enough. You never have enough power. And because of that, people will hurt other people to get that. You see? So obviously that's not a good thing, right?
No.
That's not a very, very healthy way to go, and you're not really uplifting anybody around you or yourself, by doing that, So that's the traps, that actual attachments into things that are not permanent in this life, okay? That's attachment to the physical when we are not really physical.
I like the idea, they say don't chase pleasure because the idea of chasing pleasure is a never-ending pit.
Well, discipline sharpens pleasure, you see? Discipline sharpens pleasure.
It's like who enjoys chocolate more, the person who eats it every day or the person who eats it once a month?
And death sharpens life. See? It's not the fact that you say that you don't have to be afraid of dying because, it's like, okay, when the moment comes, who knows but you at that particular moment, okay? Unless you can bring that experience to life, then you really can't say 100% how you're going to be, all right? You still will be tested, okay?
I got to get you a kickstand for that thing.
Right? But don't cling to life. Okay? Don't cling to it. Okay? So it's not that I'm not afraid of death. I just don't cling to life.
I always tell people this all the time. I'm excited for death. I've experienced a lot of things in this realm. And, with the concept of past lives, I like to believe I have experienced death. But I don't know what death I'm going to experience this realm. So it's kind of like it's almost a thrilling idea to me.
Well, it's kind of like going into a new adventure.
It's something I know all of us are going to experience in some way, whether it's a car crash, plane crash, heart attack, or something. I'm curious on what the dice are. It's you get
on an airplane.
Trip down the stairs.
Are you scared during the flight? Some people are. And some people aren't.
It's more of a thrilling than a scare to me.
But you're going to go to a country maybe you never did before. Are you going to have anxiety, or are you going to be looking forward to it?
I'm looking forward to. So you know what that gut feeling that like, especially with things that I want to do that I get. I've always been told that's not anxiety. That's the feeling of you about to do something you're never going to forget. And I've always grasped on that.
That's very nice.
So anytime I feel that way, I'm like, ooh, this is going to be a good day.
That's very nice.
This is going to be a great day. Whether it's a bad thing or a good thing, because, bad things do happen when you have that fight or flight inside feeling. But anytime I'm like, all right, either way, if this even is a bad, because I've had that feeling and then the results weren't what I wanted, but I didn't forget that day.
Do you believe that the universe is with you all the time?
Of course. I mean, it's impossible. Besides me tuning it out, of course it's with me.
Well, then there's no way you could ever be afraid of anything in life. And there could be no anxiety. Unless you lose the consciousness for a moment, then you become disconnected. See, that's the thing right there, okay? Because if God was here and he whispered in your ear, I'm with you, would you ever be afraid of anything else that
No.
could ever happen? Nothing, right? But if we don't feel that, right, then we don't have that experience of constantly being connected, okay? So what these practices do is help reawaken that feeling of being connected, okay?
And then you think people, you think a lot of people don't feel connected with a higher power due to the fact that they're just like,
Well,
living
most
situation?
people don't feel like there is a higher power, I don't believe, okay? I don't believe that they truly have that feeling on a day-to-day basis, okay? I see people that, a lot of people go to churches, okay? So they can get that feeling. They want that. They want that connection. So they flock to churches, okay? But that's on Sunday or Saturday or during the week sometimes, okay? And what do they do to try to awaken that feeling all the time on a daily basis, okay? This is what happens when we kind of get lost a little bit along the way, you know? We're walking down that path and all of a sudden we lose direction, you know? We don't know what's going on, you know? We don't know what's behind that next turn, and then we get afraid, you know? But to have fellowship and to go to church, these are all good things, okay? But what about the other times, okay? You know? What about the other times? When Christmas comes up once a year, you know, and it's a time for giving, isn't it a time for giving every day of the year?
Yeah.
Every second, every minute, you know? You know, there was a wise...
Every breath we take is given to us, you know?
Absolutely, you know, 1,000%, you know? There's an old Hindu saying, not by material wealth, but by sacrifice alone can one hope to gain the most important things in life. Something to think about and reflect upon, you know? So it's kind of like that. What is important to someone and what isn't important? You know, I work as a doctor, you know, and the theme of my practice is health, which is the balance of the mind, the body, and the spirit. Some people need more of a spirit, more mind, and some other people need more body, whatever that is, okay? You know, and I address all these things. You know, a lot of people come up to me for mental health and counseling and all these things.
Like I said, I get a lot of wisdom from you.
And the thing about all that is that you have to have a priority if you want to hope to gain that balance of mind, body, and spirit. You have to be thinking about that during the day. You have to be doing things, engaging yourself that coordinates those things during the day. What are you injecting in your life each and every day that's going to help that mind, body, and spirit thing, right? Whatever that is, right? No, most people are not with that priority, okay? Most people are not. You know what I mean?
Worried
you
about
know,
filling the bank usually.
they gotta go to the movies, okay? They gotta see that baseball game or whatever it is that they want.
I think those do help the spirit. I think things like that are...
You can do that, but the mind, the body, and the spirit has to come first on a daily basis. You know what I mean? So actually when I'm trying to make a point about things like that...
So do you think there's a practice that benefits all three? Or do you think it's something that on a daily basis you should give attention to each individually? Is what I guess
on
I'm
a
asking.
daily basis, you need to pay attention to each of those things individually.
So that's what I'm saying. Like the movies is like for me, I go to the movies to laugh.
No, but
That's
I brought that up. Okay, the movies, the baseball game, these things. I'm brought that up as things like, you know what? I don't need to go to see my doctor today because you know what? This came up. A friend of mine had tickets. And you know what? I'm going to blow it off.
You're using it as a distraction.
That kind of thing. Right.
Gotcha.
So exactly. That's what I mean by that.
On board.
So where's the priority then? Where's the commitment? See, that's
Yeah.
why each day our commitment is tested. You know, well, you know what? I ate good all day. I can have that slice of pizza right before I go to bed. You know,
That's me.
you know what I mean? You know, so are we all of a sudden we just drop our commitment to health and we just give into whatever we give into? You know, we all do it. We all do it. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know, it's not necessarily right or wrong. Okay, it's just part of the process of evolving and living and understanding. You know, not to get too far from the path. You know, that kind of thing.
I think we all need to learn what our path is, what truly will make us happy. And I think that's a journey we all got to take. And there's going to be a lot of backtracking in that journey and going down the same trails and then repaving and then making new trails. And I think that's, when you say the word the path, I always think what my path is. That's no matter what, we're all on a path and the end destination is theoretically the same end destination for all of us.
See, James, you've come a long way because you know what? Doing these podcasts, I can tell that you have practice in expressing and opening yourself up, and reflecting on your own character and behavior on a daily basis, and that is something a lot of people don't have that opportunity, that they don't take it all the time, to just sit and be introspective, and see what's going on in your own mind. Someone said to me once before, a wise man, he said, if you don't believe in God, sit down in a room and just examine your own thoughts for 24 hours and then tell me what you think. Interesting, right? So if anybody dares to try that kind of thing, okay, and then tell me that there's no God, then they didn't do it. That's an amazing thing, understanding the human body itself is a complete miracle.
I would be too triggered to do something. I couldn't just sit and think, unfortunately, because the way my constant feed of like ego or whatever it is, that I never feel like I'm where I could or should be.
Restlessness.
It's a restlessness.
Restless spirit.
Yeah, so
it's a restless spirit, okay?
I think my spirit wants to experience.
You do, but you don't have to do it in a state of restlessness, okay? You see? You want a fluid. You want a smooth, The restless energy, okay, is a lot of body attachment going on there with thoughts and feelings like we were discussing before, Wearing one's heart on the sleeve, and all of a sudden, when you lose something, you feel anxious, and all of a sudden your whole body tenses up, So attached to that thought, your body is so attached to it, it's going to react that way, Calmness, practicing, relaxing the energy in your muscles, things like that. Techniques, human potential techniques, okay, on a daily basis will be unbelievably priceless to do. I'm telling you, because I was in many different states like that as well before, and it takes great effort and great commitment. It's worth it, though. It really is worth it, because you have so much more absorption. Right now, most of us, okay, are only using maybe 10, 12, maybe 14% of our brain capacity.
You're so generous with that number.
Okay. You know that the dolphin uses 25% of their brain capacity? That animal right there, more than all the humans. Just I'm talking about brain capacity. Okay. I mean, they're not smarter, or that doesn't make them more intelligent,
their brain could be this big, but they're using that whole motherfucker.
Right. We are not anywhere close to 25%. As a human species, I mean, there are beings on the planet that can use a lot of that potential, okay?
I fear we're never going to break even the boundaries we've hit. I think, we've slowly are honestly losing less and less of our brain.
Of course, and the reason for that is because
technology and tools.
Dependency on technology. Using the elevator instead of taking the steps.
That's why I have such respect for, like we were talking about on the right here, the Amish community and such like that. Right. Just because they, I think they realize that it's like, look, we're animals and we can't handle all these flashing lights and these screens and these numbers and and it's not good for us. It really isn't. I feel part of the problem feeding the beast that is the internet and thing, but it's also the day and age we live in. But also, and then I think about, Amish families, they live in the same day and age that I live in, but in a whole different universe.
Well, look, they have embraced the mind, the body, and the spirit. Okay, many Native American cultures have experienced that, as well. Many cultures all over the world in the deep mountains of the Himalayas, there are tribes in northern Africa. I can go on and on and on and on and on, okay? This is just mixed up, okay, here in this society, okay? You're one of the bees in a hive, okay, that basically is following, or trying to follow the queen bee, and they are making all the rules, and it's based on technology, what you can use, what you can't use, it's a growing infection if they're getting away from the spirit on a daily basis. There's no question about that. The most important thing in life is what?
Love.
Yes. The universe. Because that's where we come from. And that's where we're going, okay? And the more we get away from that, the more conflict, the more wars, the more difficulty life becomes, And at the end of the day, you're scared to death about what's around the corner, okay? One of the reasons, and I actually know someone who I knew growing up, a dear friend of mine in Long Island, New York. Her husband, I knew him very well when I was practicing on Long Island for many years. He passed away recently. But for many months, he didn't want to go. He was on the kidney dialysis for a long time. And all of a sudden, the dialysis stopped working. Was ineffective. Didn't cleanse his kidneys anymore. But he still wanted to do it. He was clinging to life. He couldn't handle it. Could not handle it. He's suffering, screaming, agonizing, okay? All that was emotional. Because he knew he was dying and he couldn't handle it. He could not handle it because he didn't want to let go. This person had no concept, and I can tell you this truthfully, okay? Even though I also know the true inner feelings of everyone on the planet, no one is really going to understand, only that particular person, okay? But I had made this connection where I knew that this person never once had any thought of God, okay? He, I would have to say, was a true atheist, and perhaps agnostic as well.
I feel like agnostic is where I'd call myself, and that's where you're, there's something, and that's just my perspective on agnostic. There's something, but to believe any of the man-made traditions seems silly, and that's my perception on agnostic.
Okay. Well, all I know is that they're not really making that connection with something that's greater than themselves. Okay, that I can definitively say. And I felt terrible for him. I just watched this from the outside because my friend would call me, and talk to me about it, and she, wasn't doing well with that, and I've seen this many times actually, but this happened recently, which brought to my mind that whole thing, on a daily basis. People that are afraid of death are going to be more germophobic, okay? They're going to be more to where the point where they're afraid of everything going on in life because they're afraid that maybe it's my turn to get ill, my turn to have that heart attack or whatever it is, All these things are in our face, right? The numbers every day,
You think overly healthy people have that same issue? People who are overly concerned about their health?
Yes, well, okay, it's okay if you want to psychoanalyze that,
when you say germaphobes, I think about people who are just
Again, we don't understand, okay, on an individual basis, the attachment of that particular individual to whatever type of behavior that they are engaged in, which is, evident of their personality at that particular point.
I try to stay healthy so I can enjoy this life as comfortably as long as possible.
Right.
And that's, where I
give the body its due and no more, because in itself it's a nest of troubles. So what I mean by that is that be healthy, engage in health, okay? Don't be a fanatic about it. Don't be a fanatic about anything. Have your slice of pizza. Have a Coca-Cola every now and then,
Sorry.
Keep your system on the alert.
Yeah, we've actually talked about this before too.
Right. And stuff like that. Because in order to keep your mind healthy, fanaticism doesn't help that. It just makes you mentally ill after a while. Okay.
It's a great way to put it. That is a great way to put it because anybody who overdoes anything it's a mental illness. It really
mental illness. Okay. There's a lot more mental illness going on than anything else going on in this world.
Even health can be abused.
Anything that becomes abused is going to be, it's going to hurt you. Will hurt you. Will hurt yourself. Will hurt yourself. Don't give in to anger. Don't give in to that. Don't give in to that. It's easy to fight somebody. It's much harder to walk away.
So in therapy recently, my therapist gave me this analogy that I love. Whenever you're experiencing anything, think about being at a bus stop, and there's going to be all these buses coming and going, and they're your emotions. You can choose to get on the anger bus. You can choose to get on the happy bus. It's like let them all pass, then see how you feel. Let every emotion pass. Let it all pass. Be happy for it. Be mad for it. Be all of it. But don't react.
But with that, be accountable. Okay? Be accountable. Understand that thing didn't make me do anything. That person didn't make me mad. You know what I mean? It's always that other thing that I'm gonna blame for my own behavior. Okay? No. That's a bunch of crap. Okay? That's a bunch of crap. There's no excuses. Okay?
100%.
You did what you did because you did it.
Yeah.
Okay? All right? You own that. Okay? Then when you take responsibility for it, then you can do something about it. Okay? But not until then.
See, my perspective on this analogy is before you've done anything. It's when something happens that causes your, obviously, like you're saying, nothing can make you feel certain ways. You make yourself feel that way.
Right, but you've already have this certain type of energy. Okay, so this is the thing, which you leave yourself open to certain compulsions. Okay, for instance, let's say sexually. Okay, you have to have sex every day. And after 6 months, you had sex every day, and now you want to stop. Okay? Well, maybe you were okay for 3 days, okay, and then all of a sudden you have this compulsion which is overwhelming, okay, where you meet this person that you just cannot resist, okay? So you want to, engage in that type of behavior, in that type of activity, okay? And then you fall down, okay? And you have to have that, okay? And then you try again. And now you can go 5 days. You see, it's a process, okay? But that's what I mean by compulsion, okay? It's like an addiction. Same thing with drugs. Whatever it is that we actually condition ourselves to do, well, now we have to recondition. You can't just, now I'm not going to say that we can't just stop, okay? But most people cannot stop immediately. That's why they need the patch to stop cigarettes, okay? They always need something, okay? You know, or they stop smoking, and then all of a sudden they gain 50 pounds in a week, okay? You know, it's something like that, all right? Because one compulsion goes into another compulsion, you know what I mean? You know, and that kind of thing. So what is it? How do you do this kind of thing? Well, if you want to stop a bad habit, you have to create a good habit to substitute for that bad habit. It's a better way to process it out than to just go cold turkey. Now, if you can do it, then it can be done, because I have done that, okay? But your mind has to be incredibly strong to do that.
To replace a bad habit with a good habit?
No, without replacing the bad habit.
Completely eliminating a habit. Yeah.
Right. With that, by going cold turkey, your mind has to be incredibly strong to do
100%.
that. And the reason why most people can't do it, because all these negative habits, what do? They weaken the mind. You're nourishing weakness, not strength. Right? You're giving in to temptation and compulsions all the time. You're nourishing a decrease in your will. You're not strengthening your will. This is not a strengthening will process. It's a decreasing will process.
Lack of discipline. I joke about it with my friends all the time.
But if you keep doing it, okay, it makes it harder, right, to have it. Am I right? Okay.
100%.
So that's the whole point in a nutshell. You see what I mean? In order to be strong, you have to nourish it. You have to water the plants, you know, of strength each and every day. And that's where the activities come into place. And that's where the process comes into place. Am I making a little sense?
100%, yeah.
See what I mean? That's what I mean by all that, you know? That's what I mean by all that.
I, personally, I'm by definition, addict. So I've even, it's something they teach you in rehab. When you're once an addict, you'll always be an addict. And my family, my mother and father, both full drug addicts. So I know.
Oh, wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
To replace outside of my own, personal toxin use, I replace my bad habits with good habits.
That's the hardest one to break, okay, when you grow up in a state of behavior from your environment, from people around you, okay, and actually in a way are taught this is how to live, basically.
Yeah.
You see, basically you're taught how to live. You know?
Like I joked earlier, it's homeostasis.
But you know what? There are many families. Being that, look in the United States, this is a drug culture.
Yeah.
Okay? Do you know that one of the most causes of death in this country, maybe number one, it's called iatrogenic disease, which is drug-induced. A lot of people don't know this, okay? They're going to say on the statistics, heart disease is number one, cancer is number two. And some years are going to go cancer is number one, heart disease is number two. Okay. Iatrogenic is even more than that, okay? Because with cancer and heart deaths, you have a little over 600,000 people that are dying each year in each of those categories, okay? Iatrogenic disease, you're probably dealing with 80%, if not more, of the whole country, which are millions and millions of people that are slowly dying to that point. And you want to call it a heart attack. They want to call it cancer. But where did it really begin, okay? On poisoning your bodies and your minds for many years.
And now this comes from, I'm assuming, daily pharmaceutical use, right? Like
This is not, no, iatrogenic disease is a pharmaceutical prescriptions. Over the counter is more.
Okay.
Over the counter is more.
So okay, for instance, I have a friend who doesn't sleep without Tylenol PM or Benadryl.
Right. There you go. Okay.
Sorry.
There you go. And look, you know what he's saying? He's saying that my body needs it because it's not producing enough of this chemical in order for me to sleep. Okay?
And it also comes from an environmental thing that, when I've talked about it with this person.
Right, so this is what brought on...
my family.
Right. Now, if you look around to all families, okay, when you're growing up, how many families are in their medicine cabinet and their little child is watching this as they're growing up? Okay?
Oh,
they're seeing it. They're just seeing it. It's going to register. They're like sponges, right?
100%.
They're going to absorb it 100%. So, if they see that kind of behavior, then they're going to start doing it. Because you know what? My mommy did it. My daddy did it. Okay? It must be okay. So I'm going to do it.
I've John's one of my friends, for instance, that would never smoke or drink in front of their kids.
Right.
Because they don't ever want to see that their kids.
Right.
They smoke and drink, but they'll never smoke or drink in front of their kids because they don't want to.
And now the legalization of pot, marijuana, ganja, vajaya, okay, whatever you want. Whatever you want to call it, okay? Right? There it is. Whatever you want to call that, okay, it's becoming a culture, okay? All right? In the sense where... Okay, let's go live now, right? Okay, and now the kids are growing up in that environment. Okay,
I was already, even when it was illegal.
Yes, it was and there's a lot of families are doing it that don't really care.
I'm saying it was still glorified on TV and television and stuff. It's even bigger now, and it's more like it's more promoted.
But that's what I mean. You see, it's more promoted and it's bigger. Okay, so now you're going to find a whole different. Okay, whereas you know what? I'm 5 years old. Okay, I'm inhaling the smoke in the house. I'm actually high, and I'm 5 years old.
Have you ever seen what THC does for kids with epilepsy, though?
It helps.
Yeah,
I know about all the medical things. Okay, you know what I mean. But fortunately, epilepsy is a small part of the population. Yeah, and if it helps, I'm all for it. Okay, as far as that goes, because I've actually been involved in emergency situations with epileptics. Okay. There's a great movie, okay, Don't Do No Harm. It's an old movie with Meryl Streep, which I don't mind if our viewers want to check into that.
Don't Do No Harm, you said, with Meryl Streep?
Don't Do No Harm, okay. I'm pretty sure that's the name. I may have a little bit twisted there. But there are actors in there that were actual epileptics. Okay, in the movie. It's quite an incredible movie. It's an old movie, okay? So, but having said that, okay, you combine technology with all these other things that people are not thinking it all the way through. How can they be? Because there's no consciousness about how the children are growing up in this world, okay? I mean, I'm going to say, if you have a child, get him into a Montessori school. Those are the best schools in civilization right now for growing up.
Ian, my booking agent, and the old podcast I used to produce, all his children. Well, I think one of his kids doesn't, but his other three go to Montessori
schools are great, okay, because they teach the children how to lead by the Spirit, and they just have incredible tools. And
I've heard how they break down the curriculum is very interesting, too, is that they kind of give the kid, at the beginning of the year, the entire curriculum they need to learn for the year, and the kids learn it at their pace, and they kind of cross it off as they learn it, and if they need help with more areas, they address those areas more than
as long as you have the right teacher. Okay?
Yes.
Again, this is
and that's even in my form of schooling, even in normal, just public schooling. Good teachers were good teachers. Bad teachers didn't teach me anything. Good teachers taught me how to. What was a good teaching is teaching me how to learn, not teaching me to memorize something.
Well, the best teacher is one that makes the connection to you. So that's the thing. So you're not going to receive anything from anybody unless there is that connection and you have that absorption and that fluid, that give and take, that's like you're going to receive that, okay?
It was a lot on me, too. I was only open to connect when I was open to connect. I feel like I connected with the teachers I want to connect with. And obviously it's a give and take relationship.
There's some energy going on there, whatever it is with that particular individual, you know what I mean? That you're going to feel comfortable around, okay?
100%.
That's the bottom line, okay? With yourself, I can say pretty much without a doubt that you're going to connect with someone that is extremely calm, okay? More than someone who is going to be very nervous and very aggressive. See, your energy is not going to go well with that.
Well, no, it'll just make me nervous and aggressive.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. Exactly. So,
and I don't know if that's like an empath thing of me or what it is, but yeah, no, that would.
A lot of people get that too. You know what I mean? The energies have to coincide, right? It's kind of like food, and climate. Okay, every human being has a certain element that they function a little bit better than other elements.
Yes.
Some people function better in cold weather. Some people in warm weather, right? Some people eat better and feel healthier when they eat more meat, and some people eat and feel better when they eat more veggies. And so on and so forth, because it's depending on their energy, Everything is energy.
Everything.
You see? It's been great.
It's been great. I think we can wrap it up right there.
I love it.
We got about an hour's worth. If you want to cut that, John. Thank you, Dr. Allen, for coming again.
My pleasure. It was always a great experience. I appreciate everything.
Always.